So good morning. I think I am audible. So this is a. I hope you are able to see my screen as well. So in the last class we are talking about the flyback converter. Flyback converter is an isolated converter, but it is a very unique isolated converter because here the isolation we are accomplishing using the inductor. The inductor itself is a coupled inductor. It has two windings, and that's how we are isolating it. We don't need any extra transformer since our job is just to get an isolation. The inductor, if we produce it, if we construct an inductor with two coils, two windings, then that will be enough to accomplish the requirement of isolation. So that is what we have shown. You can adjust the output voltage V0 by the number of turns, and you can adjust the polarity of the output voltage by using the proper dot and cross convention. So all those advantages are there. However, this is an inductor. It is not a transformer. Therefore, its flux level is generally high. I think you remember the difference between an inductor and a transformer as far as the flux level is concerned. From the flux level point of view, transformer's flux level is near zero. Sometimes it is negative to positive, otherwise it is near zero, because the load current is cancelled in the core. How is it cancelled? Because when primary current flows, at the same time the secondary current flows. So this primary and secondary current cancels each other. The only thing that remains is the magnetizing current. So therefore this flux level is very near to zero. Whereas the inductors, you know that it has to carry a current, and most of the inductors are single coil. So single coil inductors, when it is carrying the load current, the flux level naturally shifts by what level? Li by Li is equal to N phi. That is the basic equation. Li is equal to N phi. That is the basic equation. So phi is equal to Li by N. That way we get it. And I is here, I is equal to I load, we can say. So that way the flux level is shifted up, but there is a ripple. So over the flux level there is a ripple in the over.
Excuse me, sir.
Hello. Yes.
So I had one doubt in the last lecture. Could you please go to that slide?
Which one?
The above.
Yeah. Tell me what.
So actually, we write I naught is equal to V naught by R, right? The average current, and we then equate it to ID, right?
Yes.
So my doubt was that when
This
that
one, this one you are talking about, right?
yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Your
So
doubt is what?
so when the diode is reverse biased, then the ID current is zero, right?
Correct.
So the V naught by R should be I naught, but averaging it to diode, is it right? Or I think it should not be ID equal to ID.
Yeah, it should be equal to ID or ID average. ID means, see, when the Q is on, let me draw, sketch it here. Tell me where you are having the confusion. When the Q is on, this is the Q is on, Q on. At that time, there is no diode current. Diode current polarity is this, because diode is reverse biased. You can see that when Q is on, this is plus minus. So therefore, this is plus minus, and the polarity of output is plus, cathode side is plus, the diode is reverse biased, it cannot conduct. But when this is off, this will conduct like this, whatever the off period, when Q is off, right? So we know that off. We know one thing, the under steady state capacitor average current is zero. This is IC. You see, at this node, Kirchhoff's law always saying that ID is equal to IC plus IR. IR is V naught by R. It is always true, irrespective of the time instant. So this is a Kirchhoff's law. Kirchhoff's law is always valid. So ID is equal to IC is equal to R. But then you do mathematically, what is average? Average means 1 by TS 0 to TS, 1 by TS 0 to TS, 1 by TS 0 to TS. That is always true. So therefore we get ID, this is nothing but ID average. ID average. ID average don't interpret as this. No, I am not interpreting this as this. I am interpreting over the TS period. ID average is this. This is what is capital ID. ID average over the period TS. Don't take ID average as the label part. It is the average computed over the entire TS period. That must be equal to V naught by R, because the capacitor current is equal to 0.
Yes, sir, it's clear now. Thank you.
It's that. Okay, so that is what is meaning of ID average, right? Capacitor current is 0. So always at that node, whatever is there, that point's average must be equal to the output current average. And the average is computed over TS period, over the entire switching period. These simple things you keep it in mind. So here, as we are saying that just now I had drawn the flux level, because they are in the same core, combined way they are creating the flux level. And it so happens that when there is a primary current, IP, there is no secondary current. And when there is a secondary current, there is no primary current. Therefore, they are independently created by the flux levels are created by the primary current and secondary current. Unlike transformer, where you will see that in a forward converter, always when there is a primary current, there is a second and major load component of the current are simultaneously flowing in the primary and secondary. So they cancel, and only thing that remains is the magnetizing part of the current. Okay. So, but here we are, yeah.
Sir, can you just again explain the difference between a coupled inductor and a transformer?
You coupled inductor waveforms are what? Coupled inductor, when the current is there, when the switch is on, the IP current is this, and the IS current is that time 0.
Okay, so but if the IS current were also having some positive value during that instant when IP is positive, then it would have been acted like it would have worked as a transformer, right?
Yeah, it would have worked like a transformer, but we are not allowing it to work like that. We are allowing it to work only like an inductor. You understood, right? This is the way. So the flux levels are either created by the primary current or by the secondary current. MMF is what? NP, IP. Here MMF is what? NS, IS. What is the total MMF seen by this thing? It is seen in generically, we will say that it is NP, IP plus NS, IS. But never IP and IS are never together, the value wise. Value wise they are never together, are never never having non-positive values anytime. Non-positive values anytime. Anytime in the period. Anytime in the period. In the period. In the period. Either this is there or that is there. So that's why it is an inductor. Its flux level is like an inductor, like a buck inductor. So only difference is from the buck boost converter is that we have split it. We have cleverly split it. And why the splitting was possible? Because we saw that the buck boost converter equation, either Vg comes or V naught comes in the equation. Never in the on time the equation is has the coupling between input and output, and never there is a coupling between input output voltage in the off time. As far as the inductors is concerned, inductor is either getting Vg during on time or V naught during off time. So they are never together. So this is a very convenient thing for isolation, because Vg means I can split, give one part of the coil to this fellow and another part of the coil to that fellow, and make it conduct by using switches, by using Q and D. Make it appropriately conduct only during on period or during off period. So that is why it is so beautiful, so simple, but it is not good for high power application. That is very cute in a sense that we do use less number of resources to isolate it, but it's not. One small thing I want to add here, just I think you might have automatically understood that if I said this is the waveforms of CCM, you must understand that these are the waveforms of CCM. Why they are waveforms of CCM? Because you have to think the inductor in a combined order. You see the initial current is greater than 0. This is dictating. You should not think that, well, the current is 0 in this part, so it is DCM. No, you should not have that crude understanding. Your understanding should be much more sophisticated. The current level initially is high. It is indicating that it is CCM. And here also at the end of the period it is high. It is indicating that it is CCM. Even though just because it is split and we have switches in series with the coils, the current at certain point of time is equal to 0 in the coil. But the flux is not 0. Flux is continuous. And the flux level is high. Because of the load current nature, the flux level is drifted. Flux level is somewhere here. Somewhere here. Okay. The flux is maintained either by the primary current or by the secondary current. And never the flux is collapsing to 0, as happens in a discontinuous conduction mode. So if I want to sketch the discontinuous conduction mode of the thing, what should happen is that you should happen that initial current is 0. It should happen that initial current is 0. The load is such that initial current is starting current is. This is what is DCM. This is what is DCM, and the DCM mode, this is the primary current. And in the DCM mode, secondary current will be somewhat here, depending upon N1, I1. This transfer will happen with this equation that NPIP is equal to NS IS. So this is corresponding IS peak, let us say peak. That way it will transfer, and then it will fall, and then it will be 0. So this is like our discontinuous conduction mode in flyback converter. This is the discontinuous conduction mode in flyback DCM. This would be the waveform. This is IS and this is IP, right? So this is what this total period is 1 minus dTs. This is dTs, and this is d2ts, the way we name it, d2ts, right? So this is just for minor clarification, because you already, if you have understood, you could interpret that DCM would mean that it initially has to start from 0. Yeah.
Sir, the waveform that you have drawn, it is in like the converter is in critical mode, right? Like it has not gone into actual discontinuous mode.
No, it is not. No, not critical mode, because this current is 0 here. This current is 0. Some off period of the thing, diode is not conducting. Diode critical conduction mode means diode will be conducting just up to this. That is critical. Why? Because maybe you are not able to see the color properly. The critical conduction mode would have made it like this, made it like this. At the end, it is this. I am not drawing that. I am drawing this current coming down to 0, and staying 0 for some time. We do not see that. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now understood.
So this is DCM. Critical conduction would have ended there. Anyway, so I have given enough clarification about this. Now I will do one converter that is good for, as I said, that is good for high power, the best converter for maximum power. People will be using this topology when they want to do 500 watt and above, 500 watt, 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatt converters. That kind of 2 kilowatt, 3 kilowatt converters may even go to up to 5 kilowatt, and after that maybe parallel many converters. So this high power means it has to, high power implies that it has to give maximum voltage. It has to provide maximum voltage. If you remember the half bridge converter, half bridge converter has one limitation. The limitation is that the transformer voltage is how much? Plus Vg by 2 or minus Vg by 2. Its level is only plus Vg by 2 and minus Vg by 2. And 0 is created by the secondary side. Secondary side, when the diodes conduct, the transformer voltage becomes 0. So here we'll have a converter where we'll have plus Vg and minus Vg available to them. Obviously, it means that we have to have more number of switches. So this is full name itself is suggesting what will be the full bridge converter. Full bridge converter. The name itself is suggesting what it will be. So instead of the capacitor split, we will now have switches connecting exactly the way, complementary way, that they can never be turned on. They can never be turned on together, because this way they short a voltage source. This is the way they will short a voltage source, so that is not allowed. I'm just drawing the first primary part of this thing and show you that we can have now 3 voltage levels available from the primary itself. We don't have to bank on the secondary at all, secondary freewheeling, that kind of thing we don't have to bank on, and we don't have to float. You remember when you had operated the half bridge manner, there was a situation when both Q1 and Q2 were off. We had a situation when Q1 is on, another one is Q2 is on, another one is both Q1 and Q2 are off. Q1 and Q2 both on are not possible. So here we will be doing this thing where you will do not have that constraint. It will be a perfectly the voltage from the primary side will be clearly defined. It doesn't depend upon what is happening in the secondary side. We can clearly construct voltage here, VP. Let us say this voltage is VP, primary voltage. This point is A and this point is B. Let me name it this way. Let me name this one as Q1 and let me name it this one as 3. This one as 3. This is a kind of convention we follow, Q1, Q3, and this one we call it Q2, and this one we call it Q4. This is the kind of any bridge we will follow. We normally follow this convention. So first observation is that Q1 and Q2 can never be on together. Q1 and Q2 never be on together, it shorts. Q3 and Q4 can never be on together. It also shorts the source. Any other constant is there? Can we see any other? Can Q1 and Q3 be on together? Can Q1 and no problem. Q1 and Q3 can be on together. So what are the equivalent things happening? The switching combinations that we can get is that Q1 on and any point of time 2 switches will be on. That you can understand. From one leg, we call it leg. This is the leg. This is one leg. Another leg. 2 leg. We name it as leg. Right? We will call it right hand leg, and this is left hand leg. This is right hand leg, and that other one is left hand leg. The Q1. So at any point of time, only 2 switches can be on, and 2 switches must be on to define the completely defined VAB. There cannot be any floating state. So let me write it. The law is that law is you tell me.
If Q1 and Q3 are on, then the inductor will be shorted, right? Like A and B will be at the same potential.
Yes, that is not a bad thing. We sometimes require 0 voltage as well. You remember in half bridge converter we are struggling to get 0, and we obtained from the secondary side when 2 diodes were freewheeling, we got 0. So 0 voltage is a level voltage. 0 voltage is also a desirable voltage, because we are controlling things. We are controlling. It is not that the concept of D2 ratio means control, right? We are not always looking for maximum voltage. we are always looking for a controlled voltage, and the control is D. Again, I repeated, V naught is equal to dVg. Why we are doing D? Because we want a control over it. The duty ratio is giving me that control, and D means sometimes it is high, sometimes it is zero. So here also similar thing we require. We require sometimes the voltage to be high and sometimes the voltage to be zero. The applied voltage should be zero at some point of time. Then only we can get the desired voltage, right? Otherwise, there is only one level of voltage you get. You get V naught is equal to Vg. That is the only voltage you get. That is not the desired thing. Your desired thing is to have a control over the voltage, right? I should be able to get from 48 volt, either 12 volt or 15 volt or 18 volt or 10 volt as I desire. So that is why the control of this thing, and control is achieved by having a zero state when you need to apply zero voltage. That is when the averaging will work. That is when it will work. So this Q1 and Q3 on is a very desirable state. In fact, this is so desirable that we can have a very simplified control of the converter. Just listen to me for some time, then ask. So what I am saying is that first law is that two switches are on at any point of time, and number two, there is symmetry in the switching. There should be symmetry. Symmetry in the switching of leg 1 and leg 2 devices. And there is a beautiful thing happening here. The duty ratio of primary side switches, not the duty ratio of the converter. Duty ratio of, has to be a different idea of duty ratio. There is one duty ratio. So far the duty ratio of the switches was equal to the duty ratio of the buck converter. But I am now bringing out a new concept. The duty ratio of the primary side devices is always 0.5. This is a beautiful what to say, simplification. I don't need very narrow duty ratio to control, but we will still control the output voltage. We are bringing in a new concept called phase shift. Bring in a new variable called phase shift d phi. Earlier always this was d is equal to 0.5. Now d phi, phase shift variable, we are bringing out a new phase shift variable d phi, which would control the output voltage. This will control the output voltage. D phi is what? What is d phi? D phi is the phase shift between the leg 1 and leg 2 pulses or switching signals. So what I am saying is, let us go through that. Two switches are on at any point of time, right? Two switches are on. Can there be 3 switches on? It is not possible to make 3 switches on. I can only logically make, my circuit theory of constant is that I should not short Vg. Anything else is I can do it. I have a freedom to do. My only constant should be that I should not short Vg. So then I can switch on Q1 and I cannot switch on. In the moment I have switched on, Q1 cannot be switched on. Q1 and Q3 I can switch on one combination. I can switch on Q1 and Q4 one combination. I can switch on similarly Q2 and Q3 one combinations, and Q2 and Q4 another combination. This is what the freedom I have. I don't have the freedom to do any other form of switching, and I will exploit this freedom completely, because this freedom is saying me that Q1, Q2 on, what voltage I produce. Look at the convention of voltage, plus, minus. Q1 is on and Q3 is on. What is the voltage I am producing? I am voltaging VAB is equal to 0. When I am doing Q1 and Q4 on, what I am doing? I am producing a voltage of VAB is equal to VG. That is what I am producing. What I am doing when I am switching Q2 and Q3 are on, Q2 and Q3 on, A point comes down, B point goes up. So I am getting VAB is equal to minus VG. I can produce negative voltage now. Though I had produced negative voltage, but magnitude was VG by 2 in half bridge converter. Here I am producing higher voltage for the same thing. So that means I am for the same current. It means that I am able to transfer more power. Obviously, if you design the converter for a certain current, certain inductor current, but now this time I am able to produce a voltage instead of VG by 2 level, able to produce a voltage of VG level. So immediately the power level for the same current, that means same switching current, is increasing. Current to the switch is increasing. So that is the advantage. Okay. So what is Q2 Q4 on? Q2 Q4 on is VG is equal to again 0. So I am able to produce 4 voltage levels. 4 voltage levels clearly with this VG 0 minus VG 0. So we will like to produce a sequence like that and give it to the transformer. That is the what the VAB voltage will see. Now, as I said, in a buck converter, how do I actually control this thing? I actually control this thing by deciding for how much time I have to give VG and how much time I have to give 0. So here also I can do it, but here I can do it with phase shift. That means the instant the difference in the phase between leg 1 and leg 2 itself is deciding when it is producing VG and when it is producing 0. You understand that minus VG is not a problem, because minus VG will be rectified in the secondary side. We have a diode rectifier arrangement in the secondary side. So minus VG also has to be seen for power transfer. Minus VG also is giving as much power to the output side as the plus VG is giving at the transformer input. So plus VG and minus VG are equivalent as far as the inductor is concerned. Inductor, I am talking about the buck inductor, the secondary side inductor. The secondary side inductor will still see either VG or 0 because it is rectified. So let us now sketch the pulsing sequence. It will be more clear. So what I am doing is I am first doing without any thought the pulsing of first switch, first leg switches. That means I will do, and I have said that it is always 0.5. I don't need now duty ratio variation in the pulse, in the switches duty ratio, because I have a phase shift between two. I have gained a new control variable. This control variable was not available to me because I was only handling either one switch or two switches that are essentially complementary. Then I don't have the degree of freedom. But here I have gained a degree of freedom. What is the degree of freedom? The difference in the pulsing instant between, you remember, it is like our multi-phase converter. It is like our multi-phase converter where I have gained freedom to change the phase shift between the two parts of the converter, two identical parts of the converter. Q1 was the buck switch. I had gained the freedom that Q2 I can phase shift by 180 degree. I have gained. Here it is not 180 degree. It will be varying because I need a varying thing, because I need a concept of duty ratio in the secondary side. So here each pulse may look will be just 50%. This is Q1. The moment I draw Q1, Q2 I know, because Q2 is nothing but a complementary pulse, and they are 50%. If you define this switch duty ratio, D is equal to 0.5. Okay, this is Q2, just complementary. Q2 is nothing but Q1 bar. But what is not complementary is this is the Q3 pulse. So Q3 is a phase shifted pulse. Wherever I want, I am doing it here. I am doing it here. I have given a phase shift like this. So it will be ending also here. Right? This is also a duty ratio of 0.5. This is Q3 pulse. Okay, this variable I am defining as D5. This variable I am defining as D5. This variable I am defining. This is the TS.
So
Yeah.
So why are we assuming duty ratio equal to 0.5?
Why we are assuming? First of all, this duty ratio is equal to 0.5 is will be doing the job I want to do. I want to have a job of D5. I knew that creation is nothing to do with D. I could have created with D is equal to this thing also. So other duty ratio also I could have created the concept of phase shift. But here, if you create a duty ratio is equal to 0.5, then D5 has a huge ability to vary, and not only vary, it has the ultimately converter will be able to give as much voltage as we need, like a buck converter with a variation from 0 to 1. So D5 is now taking the role of D. D5 is replacing D, conventional D buck, and its variation is 0 to 1. And another point is that it is always easy to produce a duty ratio of 0.5 in a practical sense. In a practical, if you want to have a converter, you can easily create a duty ratio of 0.5. It is just a flip-flop thing. Q1, Q bar. It is easy, very easy to create a duty ratio of 0.5. Moreover, right. So that is the reason. Duty ratio is equal to 0.5 is quite comfortable, easily like a flip-flop. It is just like a flip-flop. You get two complementary thing, and they are always 0.5 in a counter level system, etc. Varying duty ratio is you have to do something. Here we don't have to do something. Here it is automatically, naturally, with a flip-flop it can be created. So creation of 0.5 duty ratio is, another beautiful thing, another advantage is that you remember that, it's a practical thing. You have to little bit understand it. That is, if I have I have to create a smaller duty ratio. Suppose I want to go to a higher frequency. Suppose the small duty ratio is how much time? Time is, suppose it is 10 microsecond is the period. So it is 20%. If D is equal to 0.2, then this time was 2 microsecond, right? If the same job can be done with a D is equal to 0.5, as I will show you it can be done, then it is a 5 microsecond, right? So what I'm saying is, here 10 microsecond. Now I can go to a holding, suppose you assume that due to some circuit it happens. You cannot create a very narrow pulse. Very narrow duty ratio creation is extremely difficult, because anything has a rise time, fall time, and etc. Circuit non-IT. So there is a practical limit to what minimum duty ratio you can create and what maximum duty ratio you can create from the gate drive point of view. Practical limit. So practically we see that it cannot be done. It is very difficult to do. Very difficult to do between 0.05. That means 5%. D is equal to 0.05. Beyond that, it is very difficult to create, right? So what it is meaning that, why? Because you cannot create a pulse that is very narrow, maybe less than 500 nanosecond. It is very difficult to create such a pulse. So what is it is practically limiting is, if you cannot create a 500 nanosecond pulse, and that is 5%, that means your final time period is TS is becoming how much? that must be 20 times, that is 10 microsecond. So you cannot go to a switching frequency corresponding to greater than 100 kilohertz. That is your limitation. Now, if I take a 500 nanosecond limitation and produce a 50% duty ratio, I can go to what frequency? That is double. That means I have to go to 1 microsecond. That means I can go to a frequency of what I'm saying is that think that it is 500 nanosecond but 50% duty ratio. This is 500 nanosecond. 500 nanosecond but 50% duty ratio. So total period is 1 microsecond. So that means it is a frequency of switching frequencies correspond to 1 megahertz. So practically I would be able to switch the converter at higher frequency if I have no constraint in the duty ratio. It is a big deal in a practical sense. In other case, with 0.05 duty ratio, I could not have gone to beyond 10 microsecond. That means a switching frequency of 100 kilohertz, because otherwise my circuit will be not operating properly, because my duty ratio generation will not be correct. I will not be able to generate the duty ratio of less than 5%. Okay, but here I assume the same limit in my circuit. Circuit limit I am not changing. I am having the same limit that I cannot produce any pulse less than 500 nanosecond. Okay, so then what is the corresponding? But that is a 50% duty ratio. That means the total period is TS. That means that I will be able to go to a switching frequency of 1 megahertz, because the actual control I have shifted to D5. Where D5 I can make it anything I want. Anything I want. That is just a phase shift, because that is not truly any, it is just deciding an instant that when I want to turn on another thing. So there the constant doesn't come, because having a duty ratio of 5% requires circuit RC values, etc. So there the non-idealities dictate that you will not be able to reliably or faithfully produce a duty ratio less than, let us say, 5%, or in this case 500 nanosecond pulse. Less than 500 nanosecond pulse in the gate is extremely difficult to create. So that is the reason why D is equal to 0.5 is a good thing, is an advantage thing, provided I have got a control, and I am showing you that I have got a control. That control is the instant when I decide that I would like to apply the switch Q3. Yes, anything? Any question? Understood it, I hope.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, okay. So okay. So if this Q3 pulses and Q4 will be complementary, Q4 is here, Q3 here means Q4. I am not drawing again in another. This is where the Q4 on. Complementary Q4 is equal to Q3 bar. That completely defines it. When this thing is off, that thing is on. So if that is there, so what is VAB? So you see, look at this. Initially, who are on? There are 4 steps coming here. 4 steps. First step is that Q1 on and Q4 on. Q4 is the red. Can you see that Q1 on and Q4 on? So Q1 and Q4, if they are on, you know what? Q1 and Q4, if they are on, what was the voltage? What would be the voltage? VAB is equal to then plus VG. Q1 and Q4 on, so VAB is equal to plus VG. You know that. So you can sketch the VAB waveform. You can sketch the VAB waveform. VAB is for this duration, during this phase shift. This is the voltage waveform. VAB is plus VG. You have created the maximum voltage that is available. This is the VAB waveform. VAB for this duration D5. You have created it for D5 duration. Okay, and or D5 TS if you want to. This is D5 TS. You must say that D5 TS. D5 TS duration. So if you want to convert it into an equivalent time, then you say D5 TS. Then for this duration, what is happening? Then for this duration, who is on? Q3, Q1 and Q3 are on. Here Q3, you see this zone, Q1 and Q3 are on. So the voltage that you are getting is 0. It is 0 voltage you are getting. Subsequently, what will happen? Subsequently, what will happen is, let us see who is on. Q2 is on. And who is on the other end? Q2 and Q3 are on. This is Q3 on. This is Q3, right? This is Q3 on. So Q2 and Q3 on means you will get a negative voltage. That is what we want. In the across the transformer, we want the coil, we want a negative voltage, positive and negative voltage. Both voltages we want. And we don't require any clamp, anything. It is a natural part of the converter. We are not superficially putting a Zener clamp or a tertiary winding or anything. It is all part of the converter. The thing that produces negative voltage also transfer power. We have seen that the superficial things like tertiary winding, etc., is not involved in power transfer. But here this negative voltage will also be contributing to the power transfer, because we will see that in the secondary side this voltage will be rectified. We will produce a rectified voltage there. Our intention in the secondary side will be to produce a rectified voltage and apply it to the. This is what will be our intention. This is what will be our intention, that we will produce this voltage, 0 voltage and rectified voltage and 0 voltage. This is what will be there. Then this will be our d phi into Ts by 2. The actual duty ratio that buck inductor will see T phi Ts, d phi Ts, and it is Ts by 2. Ts by 2. So the actual duty ratio that buck, I will write d buck, because that is the rectified voltage, which we called Vx. In last this thing we had called it as Vx. So d of buck inductor will see that this is duty ratio of d phi Ts. I will allow me to define it like Ts by 2. Allow it me define by Ts by 2. Right, d time is d phi by Ts by 2. So this time d phi Ts by 2. So d phi Ts by 2 by Ts by 2 is equal to d phi. Okay, so this is the way we will define d phi. The time when each combination of the switch, like cross combination, cross switches, Q1 and Q4 or Q2 and Q4, Q2 and Q3. This is the zone when Q2 and Q3 are on. This is the Q2, Q3 are on. This is the zone when Q1, Q4 are on. Cross switches are on. That duration you define as d phi into Ts by 2, because for the buck inductor, the frequency has doubled. Each switch is switching with the period of Ts. Look at that. The switching frequency, as far as the switch is concerned, this is the switching frequency. That switch is concerned, that is Ts. This time is Ts. But the voltage that we are generating after rectification, this will be rectified voltage. I am predicting that it will be. I will do that. I am saying what direction I want to go. So rectified voltage, that is nothing but a diode rectifier will put in the secondary side of the coil, and that rectified voltage will be touching the inductor node. Inductor other node is in the capacitor node, output node, but this node will be this one, rectified voltage one. And then this is effectively a duty ratio of d phi. So buck converter is now defined by the phase shift. Phase shift between two exactly identical 50% duty ratio pulses. We have got a new variable and we have simplified the circuit. So this is the best topology. There's no doubt about it. This is the best topology. And also look at the flux. From the flux point of view also it is best topology, because it is going plus and minus. When the voltage is plus and minus in this way, the flux has to follow it. So what is the flux? How will the flux follow it? Flux will be, you can know by this time that it will start from negative to negative. Qualitatively I am drawing. And the magnetizing current, flux or magnetizing current, whatever you tell it, it is the same, because now there is a continuity. The current can be continuous in the primary side itself. This will flow in the primary side itself. So there is no difference between the current in the primary and the flux. Qualitatively, that's simply scaled by LP, LI, LP by IP by NP. That is what flux, primary side flux. That is the flux of not primary. Flux is same for everybody. Flux is same for everybody. This flux is the same as this thing. Only it will be LS IS by NS. That ratio is always same. In a converter, in a transformer, that is always same. So that is also equal to LS IS by NS. You can always check it. And the magnetizing current, there is no reason for it to go to the secondary. This is also qualitative, the magnetizing current, and the flux are synonymous in all terms we have seen some complication between flux and the magnetizing current in tertiary winding, that it jumps from primary to tertiary coil, all sorts of, not flux but magnetizing current. But this can be considered as a magnetizing current as well as the flux. This is qualitatively IMP. This is equivalent to phi. Flux pattern is this one, but IMP is completely defining the flux pattern by the equation I am writing. LP IP by NP is equal to phi flux, which are constants. LP is a constant, NP is a constant. So IP completely represents this thing. And the current can be continuous. Why not continuous? Because two switches are always on, and these MOSFETs are bidirectional switches. It doesn't matter. I have to not even think whether negative current has anything, because I was earlier putting diodes. Now all are switches. So MOSFET can take current from drain to source or source to drain. There is no constraint in that, right? So this is how the transformer primary is making it so versatile, and the converter is so versatile. The control is through phase shift control, right? So when such a thing happens, what we see is that the secondary side. Now let us combine the secondary side. I am drawing the secondary side only, and you please notice that. So let me draw the secondary side. You have understood what is the voltage waveform in the primary side. So let's take the secondary side. So let us take the secondary side. Right. This is the primary side. The secondary side. Okay, I can. Let me draw the circuit first. Secondary side circuit is what? Secondary side circuit has a transformers, secondary coil, obviously primary coil. I have understood that this voltage is plus VG0 minus VG0. This is plus minus VP. This is dot, this is dot. This is plus minus VS, NP, NS, LP, if you want, LP, LS. That is the transformer. And this voltage level is plus VG minus VG. That is the voltage level with which we are driving the primary side. Secondary side is VS. So what is that? I will put a rectifier. I can put a half bridge rectifier or half wave rectifier or a full wave rectifier. Let me put for a change a full wave rectifier. Full wave rectifier means just your conventional this rectifier. That's why I don't need a center tap. I don't need any center tap. Center tapping is also was a unnecessary cumbersome thing. I had to take the equal number of turns, put it. It was engineering wise not so convenient. So now no problem. I can put a I can get rid of the center tapping. And this is the rectifier, simple rectifier. The way you give any AC and rectifier, this is also the same thing. Only thing it is VG and 0 minus VG0, right? Earlier you always had a positive and negative. In a conventional sense, always a sine waves positive part and negative part. But here it is just VG0 and minus VG0. And this is the capacitor and this is the resistor. And this voltage is now with respect to this. So this is plus minus V0, this is R, this is L, and this voltage I am calling Vx. This is the rectified voltage I am calling Vx. So rectified voltage is nothing but scaled version of this VG0 and all that. That will be if you want to relate it correctly, then you put a number of turns factor also into it. Vx. So I have not drawn anything. Now I will do the level. So the levels will be what? This level is Vg into Ns by Np. That is the level. Here it is how much? Vg into Ns by Np. That is the level of this Vx voltage. Vx voltage I have drawn there. So what else? Everything is so clear now. This is IL. So I will have a current ripple. I will have a secondary side. What will happen? I will have current ripple. Current ripple depending upon this. So this is Ts by 2. Now this slope is Vg into Ns by Np minus V0. This slope is V0. That is the slope. So divided by L. Slope is this divided by L. L is this inductor. This is that divided by L. So this way this will go. So how the diodes will conduct? Let us see how the diodes will conduct. Diodes will conduct exactly the way this this let us give the name of the diodes also so that we understand. Let us give the name equally. Let us give D1, D2, D3, D4. So D1 and D4 conducts together, D3 and D2 conducts together. So diode has no way of understanding what is the input voltage. So what it will do, it will just produce current in one chunk. One chunk of the current will go through the diode. So diode current for this is the current of D1 and D1 and D4. D1 and D4 will conduct like that, and then it will be 0. That will be 0. Okay, you understand that this time Vg is there plus current is there, so power is going.
Again, for the diode labeling. Thank you.
So this time, actually you can see that this time voltage is, transformer voltage is this. Let me draw it there. This, and it is 0. So no power. This is the transformer voltage during this time, and the remaining portion of the time diode current is 0 for the D1 and D4. And what will be the current in this one? It will be similarly going like this. Let me take another color. This is D2. That will be the current.
Sir, what is the yellow graph and the green graph in D1 and D4? Like, can you repeat?
This is I D1 oblique I D4, same current. Okay, so this is I D2 oblique D3, same current. Okay, and the yellow is the voltage across the transformer. This is during this period the voltage is this one. This is the voltage. This is the VP or VS. You can even say it is the secondary voltage. This one, and then in this portion it is negative, and this portion this is the secondary voltage. So this is the diode current waveforms, and this is the voltage waveform. What I was trying to show is that the current doesn't imply voltage. The transformer diode current is still there, but the voltage across it is 0. Voltage across the coil is 0. So actually no power. This is no power. This is like a freewheeling. Voltage is 0, current is continuous. So it is freewheeling like that. The current will be flowing in the freewheeling zone. The current will be flowing like that. Exactly same way it will flow. This will flow. The voltage is simply 0, but the current is there. So what happens is that there is a slight nuisance here. Slight nuisance here is this. Since the current is going from cross to dot here, there is a dot to cross current flowing during freewheeling time. This is the freewheeling time. This is freewheeling. What we call it as freewheeling. These zones are called freewheeling zones. FREE. Now let me put a black color. Freewheeling zones. When the voltage across the transformer is 0 and no power transfer occurs, this is called freewheeling. This is called powering zones. These two are powering zones. That means input power is coming to the output power. Power. That means the input power is from the input power is flowing to the output. The other two zones are freewheeling zones, so no power is flowing to the output. But consequence of that is the freewheeling zone and the diode is conducting. Still the diodes are conducting. Same diodes D1 and D4 are conducting, because diodes don't know. They have to maintain the inductor current. The first zone they have a constraint to push power, like a rectifier one, push power from the input to the output, and second they have a job of freewheeling the buck inductor current. So that consequence of that is whenever there is a coil current, because that coil current, that current is freewheeling current is now flowing through the transformer coil of the secondary. So the consequence of that is that there is a transformer current in the primary. So that means there is some current in the primary, even when it is not delivering power to the output. So even the primary current, if I see, I will see this. What will be the primary current? Primary current, I will see whatever the diode current, I will reflect it there. So I will see similar current. Plus magnetizing current. I'm just drawing the load component of the current. Please understand, don't misunderstand me. This is the load component of the current plus magnetizing current. Magnetizing current I am not considering here. So it will be like this. So this current is unnecessary. This current is unnecessary. Unnecessary in the sense that not transferring any power. So that current is unnecessary. So this current is unnecessary. But this is a limitation of this topology. We call this unnecessary current as circulating current. Circulating current. An unnecessary current that will be flowing. Why unnecessary? Because it will cause conduction loss without transferring power. We accept that conduction loss when the current is transferring power. So this current is not unnecessary because this time it is transferring power. This is the current IP load, only load component of the current. Apart from that, that magnetizing current that I have drawn already comes. So that was IP magnetizing. Let me, which one? This current, IMP. IP, let us write IPM. Let me write it first P, then M. First P and then M. So first P, I primary magnetizing, IPM, and this one I define it as IP load. IP, not B, IP primary current load. And this current scaling wise, it will be what it will be? IL load current in the secondary into NS by N. That will be the scaling. MMF, always considering MMF balance, it will be the scaling of the thing. And this period is TS by 2. This period is d phi into TS by 2. Okay, so this is what is the operation of the what is the operation of the one of the very important topologies that is called full bridge converter. Full bridge converter.
Sir, it is d phi TS or d phi TS by 2?
D phi TS by 2, because my period is, that is how we define d phi. This time is defined as d phi TS by 2, so that my buck converter's equation still comes V naught is equal to Vg into Ns by Np into d phi. That is the buck converter equation, so that you don't change your idea of basic relationship, basic operating relationship. I am calling this time as d phi TS by 2. Again another d phi TS by 2.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, but the phase shift is defined with respect to TS, right? For example, in two phase we saw
No,
that
no, 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 no. We have not defined with respect to TS. You may call it defined with respect to. I can define with respect to anything, with respect to the primary pulse, but I tell that I am. It's my choice of variable, right? It is just a choice. Don't get confused with this. It is just a
So,
choice of variable.
So like if the phase shift is let's say 180 degree, then what should be the phase shift in seconds in this case? Like if you consider any particular time period and then.
I will call d phi is equal to 1 and ts is equal to ts by 2. I will call that time 180 degree. Oh, yeah, okay, let me clarify that point. That you are saying physically 180 degree phase shift corresponds to 180 degree phase shift will corresponds to d phi is equal to 1. And basic definition time wise, if I want to go, then I will say 1 into ts by 2 time t phi. Time t phi is equal to 1 into ts by 2. That will be the my time in time that phase shift will make. 180 degree corresponds d phi is equal to 1. Take it that way. Just my choice, because that is how the output voltage is seeing it. Output voltage equation is seeing in terms of d phi. I wanted to do not want to change. Otherwise, I have to do it d phi by 2 and all that. So that I don't want to change. So therefore, I am putting it that way, that I can go d phi 0 to 1. The variation of d phi is ranges from this to this. I can go in this way. When d phi is equal to 1, that means the phase shift between primary pulses is 180 degree. This corresponds to phase shift between primary pulses of 180 degree. This corresponds phase shift between primary pulses is equal to 0 degree. So this will be then the output voltage will be Vg into Np by Ns into d phi. That is how it is. Because the secondary side inductor is seeing double the frequency, double the switching frequency. Ts is the switching frequency of Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4 independently. They are switching frequencies. But the secondary side inductor is seeing a voltage which has a frequency of 2fs. If fs is the frequency switching frequency of if fs is the switching frequency, fs is the switching frequency of Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, sorry, phi, it looks like phi, Q1, Q3, Q4, then the inductor, the inductor volt second balance is seeing a switching frequency of 2fs. Inductor is operating with a voltage supply that has a frequency of 2fs. Ultimately, we have to give a DC to inductor at the other point. So the DC after rectification, it is becoming, always if there is a rectifier in the secondary side, frequency will be down, will be increasing, double. It will be double. So that generic idea you can keep in your mind. Okay. So I will stop here. I hope you have got the solutions of the tutorial one. I also hope that you have observed that the class test is on 6th, and the class test topic is essentially isolated and non-isolated converters, and that is what will be the topic of the class test. I will try to give you also some problems of non-isolated isolated converters by today or tomorrow. I may take today and tomorrow. I will give you some that tutorial type of problems. You don't have to submit it. So that's the message I want to give. Thank you very much for listening.
Sir, the deadline of assignment is 12 at noon or 12 at midnight?
I don't know. This is TS. You ask the TS. I don't know. I really.
Okay, sir.
I don't know. Ask TS. Ask the question in the this thing conversation, and they will reply. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Thank you.